Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and today I'm joined by Angel.
Hello.
Hi. And today we are, to my surprise, concluding chapter 2 of the story arc Fate for Port Charles, which was titled Deception. So I will roll the credits and we'll get right into it. So Allison thinks that Jamal is angry at her because he has been putting all his attention on repairing the bike. And ever since the incident with the drunk man that thought Allison was a hooker and that he was her pimp. I wanted more of this story. I feel like they were just kind of giving like dribs and drabs of it.
Yeah, that actually made me upset. Well, not really upset, but just made me upset that it was down to like, oh well, this and that. It should have been more of a teachable moment for Allison that for what Jamal goes through as a person of color, and that it could have been a lot more. But like I said last week, white writers, so of course they're gonna sweep down under the rug and be like, oh no, it was just this and that, So that should have been more of a teachable moment, but we're just not gonna. if we go more into it, it'll make me more upset. So, but if anybody wants to talk to me on Twitter about it.
Lucy and Kevin are kissing. This is where we left off last week. And Eve and Ian are outside the house. Eve passes out and Ian catches her. And Kevin and Lucy hear the commotion and they come outside and bring Eve in. She comes to and says she just wants to put everything behind her and move forward with her life with Kevin. And she suggests that they should renew their wedding vows.
Who renews their wedding vows? I'm sorry. I know it's like a plot point. Or because I know
it hasn't even been a year. Everybody has literally said it. Everybody's literally said like it hasn't even been a year.
Yeah, it hasn't. I meant to look up when they actually got married, but like according to that keep up with Port Charles. Here's what happened before the arcs thing that we saw last week. It seemed like it was during the Rachel stuff, which that was like earlier in 2000. So
yeah,
or later in 2000.
I saw that little recap again at some point during these episodes, and it was funny because the one little like tidbit about Livy and Jack was Livy and Jack share a kiss, and then they like moved on to the next thing. And I was like, okay. But I guess that happened before the arcs also.
Yeah, it was before the arcs.
So that was basically just a pre-arc cap.
Yep.
So Frank finds Ariana in Ian's apartment and questions what she's doing there. She tells him that Ian knows that she's there and is helping her out, and he's kind of skeptical about that. Allison really took this to like a dramatic level because she thinks that Jamal like wants to like end things with her. She's like, if you're not into me anymore, just tell me. It's like calm down. Frank gives Jamal bad advice regarding his fight with Allison. He tells her like, it's still early. You don't give in to her because that's the like template for how your whole relationship's gonna be. And Karen overhears this and she's like, don't listen to him.
Don't listen. And then I want to go back to I know you had you were asking about Ian's apartment being in the basement. So actually I forgot about this. That Ian's apartment used to be even Karen and Julie's apartment. Or I think it was the three of them living there. And Frank and Joe own the base. It's like the basement of like Frank and Joe's place, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So in order for them to go into the place, they have to go in through Frank and Joe's house, and then go in the basement. So that's why there's like no doorbell because it's so weird.
Really, the outside last time we watched, the last Eve had seen Ian comforting Ariana, and she was on the stairwell and went out. So she went through the whole house to get to that door where we saw them
Yeah,
outside talking.
so I think it's like through their kitchen, and then there's like a door in the kitchen, and then that's what leads into like that part. It's weird. It's so weird because they had a whole thing where like when they first was on the show, the interns needed a place. Some of the interns weren't from Port Charles. They needed a place to live. So I think it was Eve, Karen, and Julie, or even Julie. It was one of those. It was a pair of those three girls that lived there. And then as they moved up in ranking in their jobs, they didn't need to live there anymore. Or in Julie's case, as she moved off the show, they didn't need to live there anymore. In Eve's case, she got married. In Karen's case, well, her and Joe aren't a thing anymore. So
that makes it even weirder because Kevin, at one point in past episodes we watched, just like let himself in. So he just like walked through somebody's kitchen to get into Ian's apartment.
Hey Joe, how you doing? Hey Frank.
Interesting. Ariana's brother finds her at Ian's apartment and says she has to come home with him and face the consequences of dishonoring their father and their family. So I guess he walked through their kitchen too.
Yes, he walked through the kitchen.
And he just knew that that's where the apartment
was.
Hey,
who are you? Forget you.
That actually like puts like a whole new like outlook on this, like everybody ever walking into there. He gets a little rough with her, and Ian walks in and stops him. Eve thanks Lucy for all she did for Kevin and thinks maybe she isn't so bad after all, after like praising Lucy. That's short-lived because then Garcia shows up to question Lucy about the DNA results being switched.
Garcia's busy this arc.
Right?
This book, like he seems to be in every week that we've that we've been
right.
in.
So now Eve thinks Lucy changed the DNA results so that she could have Kevin all to herself, like she always wanted. Garcia takes Lucy down to the police station for questioning. Jack calls Livy from the station, and they are both determined to prove that Chris set him up because he was detained after the whole Chris falsely accused him of taking the $10,000 he gave him. Chris comes to see Livy, who has set up the hotel room with candles, dinner, and she's dressed in a sexy outfit. Chris is onto her plan and tells her she has no idea who she's messing with. I felt like this kind of, in the past weeks, she seemed kind of torn between which brother she wanted, but I feel like this week she kind of like decided she wanted Jack.
Yeah, she was settled on Jack, and she was like, "Oh, I think it had a lot to do with like what happened with in the police station."
That kind of swayed her.
Time. That could have like been like, okay, yeah. Chris is a jerk. Let me deal with Jack now.
Lucy goes on a rant with Garcia, and she demands to see her friend Max Scorpio. I must have looked down because they keep mentioning that she assaulted an officer because then she gets detained. Did she like raise her hand? Kevin explains to Eve why Lucy did what she did. Ian aggressively tries to get Ariana's brother, Ben. I quote his name because the whole time I'm like, say a name, say a name. To leave. Ariana asks to speak to Ben, and she begs him to protect her by saying he either couldn't find her or that he killed her himself. She kind of plays on the whole, when we were kids, we were so close,
Mhm.
and we always said we would take care of each other and protect each other. I want to know what countries they're from, because she keeps saying in our
That's what I
country, or
want to
they
know
keep saying
too.
our country.
That's what I want to know, because I had forgotten most of the story except for the part you're going to get to, the part that I remember, the part about it's coming soon. But I forgot, and they don't talk. They don't really talk with an accent. I happen to notice
Mm-mm.
that they don't talk with an accent. It's like, oh, they're from another country, so do they have an accent? And I don't hear it.
No, I was really listening closely to her voice to see if she had something, and it wasn't there.
I know he doesn't.
No. He agrees and leaves, but while he's outside, after he walks through the kitchen, he makes a phone call and says that he wasn't able to get her tonight, but he will do whatever it takes. And throughout this episode, Ariana's kind of like not been feeling well. And normally my head would go to pregnancy, but for some reason I was just like, oh, maybe she's like sick.
Mm-hmm.
But Ian thinks that she might be pregnant. Jack and Livy return back to Lucy's hotel room after a night of clubbing. They get hot and heavy, and then Kevin knocks on the door.
Uh-oh.
He has his first protective father speech with Jack. Lucy calls Kevin's house from the police station, and Eve answers. She begs Eve to tell Kevin she's in jail, and Eve mocks her. I love when Eve was just like, I just need to take this in for a moment that you're in jail.
I remember I liked their rivalry a lot.
She says, don't worry, someone will bail her out. And Eve actually goes to the police station herself and bails her out. She and Lucy fight over who loves Kevin more and who should be with him. Ariana takes a pregnancy test and it's positive. She confides in Ian that she was raped, and in her country that is seen as the woman's fault, and the only way to take care of this is an honor killing.
Yep, that's the part
Ian
I remember.
vows to keep her safe. Yeah.
Which hasn't really been done in daytime, I don't think, since before or since.
It just kind of, I don't know.
But
it seems kind of like one of those Days of Our Lives things, in a made up country where they just make up Aramid or whatever. Eve gets an envelope with her things from the night of the accident, and Ian's bracelet is in there. She has a memory of Ian giving her the bracelet, but she doesn't know if it's real or if it's just a dream. Mm-hmm. Kevin walks in on Lucy talking to herself and the universe about how she feels for him and that they are meant to be together. Eve goes to see Karen and tells her Ian's bracelet was in her things. She says if she doesn't get answers soon, she's going to lose her mind. Kevin wants to know what Lucy was charged with, and Scott says obnoxiousness in the 3rd degree. Eve thinks she needs to go back to where Harris kept her and Ian captive in order to get answers and jog her memory.
Mm-hmm.
Karen says she'll go with her. And I totally forgot to take a note about this, that Frank had asked Karen to go to some EMT ceremony, honor ceremony or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she had agreed until he came to pick her up. I was like, oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Because their scenes are so quick that
they are.
I almost feel like they're not a part of the story. Frank shows up to pick Karen up, but she has to cancel on him. He's disappointed, but tries to play it off like he's okay with it. And he
Mhm.
kind of like sadly throws the flowers out that he bought for her. They're kind of cute. I kind of like them.
Yeah, I like them too.
Scott
Marie
tells Kevin
Wilson.
that Lucy
Oh,
is
sorry.
Scott tells Kevin that Lucy is like a junkie and is addicted to him. And he has to cut her off. What were you gonna say?
Oh, and Marie Wilson and Jay Pickett, R.I.P. Jay Pickett, have more chemistry than like any of the recast Joes, any of the Joes. So.
Right. And it's interesting that when the show started, she was actually meant to be with his brother.
Because they
With
had
the other
like the
actress,
whole
anyway.
like childhood like flashbacks and stuff like that, and that they were playing on like the street that
Mhm.
Joe and Karen lived on. Like they really like set you up for like, okay, Joe and Karen supposed to be together, but nope, didn't happen.
Yeah, like they're the meant to be couple. Kevin agrees that he's sending Lucy mixed signals. Lucy is adamant that she's nobody's victim. And she tells Scott to butt out. And Eve and Karen are back in the room that Eve and Ian were held captive, and Karen wonders if they're 100% sure Harris is dead. Which I also was starting to wonder also, because I
I'm
felt
wondering that too, yeah. Because the way it like, if I remember correctly, the way that like he died in quotes, like was kind of sudden, and we didn't really get a chance to like process it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also,
I mean, I accepted it because I just felt like, okay,
arcs.
things are moving fast, so this is just it. But I don't know. He
Exactly.
felt like a well-known actor in the soaps anyway, so I felt like he might come back.
Yeah.
Especially since it was so early on in the arc, I feel like there's still a possibility.
Yeah,
I'm also starting to wonder. I don't know. I don't really have any clues to this, but if he's connected to Ariana.
That's what I'm wondering about that too. And I don't even remember if he was or not. I think the last thing I remember was the honor killing, and that was it.
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny to not be spoiled on a 22-year-old storyline.
Yeah.
Jamal has fixed his bike. Ariana, oh, I'm sorry, and him and Allison go for like a little joyride. And they end up at a barn, I guess. And I assume they made love. And all I could think was, you were freezing in your apartment, and you're out in the snow now, and you're going to do this.
Better put a space heater in there. Oh no, we don't want a space heater.
Ariana is worried about how she will take care of the baby. Ian says that he will help her in any way he can. And she kind of was like thinking, oh, thank you, you're gonna let me live here. And like, I was like, that's not really what he meant. Calm down.
Yeah.
But Lucy is in a mood to make over her life. New clothes, new hair, new place to live, to get over Kevin. Ariana says she will cook and clean for Ian, and he says that he doesn't think that she should stay at his place.
Nope, not at all. Especially since I know where she is.
Not because of what happened to her, but because he doesn't think it's safe. He's unsure about trusting her brother, but Ariana thinks it's because of his feelings for Eve that he doesn't want her to stay at the apartment. She questions him about Eve a lot. I'm like, mind your business.
That's what makes me think that she's Harris. She's with Harris for some reason. That's what makes me think. It makes me think about that in that aspect, because she questions him about Eve a lot.
Yeah. Huh. I just had something just happened in my head. So we know that Harris was very aggressive and he was going to take advantage of Eve, given that he knew her previous occupation. So I wouldn't put it past him to have sexually assaulted Ariana.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing.
So maybe that was his baby.
Ooh.
I wonder.
I wonder too.
Or maybe I'm reading too much into it.
Yeah, we probably are.
We only have 5 weeks left. So it seems like a lot. Eve explains to Karen where the lab was and where she slept and bathed in the room she was held captive with Ian. Karen wonders if sharing a bed in a small room for weeks may have sparked something real between Ian and Eve. And Eve wonders that too. Lucy meets with a realtor and flirts with him. She purchases a new home and they share a dance. Karen finds a letter Eve wrote to Kevin. Eve thinks she couldn't have written that letter if she was having an affair with Ian. She asks Karen for some alone time to try and remember something. Ben breaks into his apartment. Okay, he came out of the bedroom, so he came in through that window that Ariana first came through.
Yeah.
This is not a secure apartment.
Nope, it isn't.
They need to put bricks in front of that window or something.
Yeah.
He tells Ariana she can't run this time. Ian shows up when Eve is reading the letter. He says all she needs to know is that they belong together. I don't trust scenes like this.
Nah, me neither. I didn't trust that
either. Lucy goes to dinner with the realtor, whose name is Daryl, to celebrate her new independence and her new home. She kept saying she bought a house. That kind of looked like an apartment to me.
It looks like a condo, actually.
Yeah.
It looks like a condo.
Like when the movers were moving the furniture in, it looked like there was like a hallway. So I was like, is that an apartment or?
Yeah, and then
like
it
on
has
the
like
outside?
then it has a window too that like you can see the whole city. Unless it's on a hill or something, but I don't think so.
I liked when she was saying what she would be interested in looking at or moving into. She made a point of saying not a lighthouse, because doesn't Kevin live in a lighthouse?
Mm-hmm. He lives in a lighthouse. Yep.
Eve was hallucinating, seeing Ian, and it's actually Kevin. Ian asked Gabby about taking Ariana to a shelter that she works at part-time.
Mm-hmm.
Ben accuses Ariana of letting a man that wasn't her husband get her pregnant. Ariana gets the upper hand on Ben and tries to run up the stairs, but he grabs her and pulls her down, and she falls down the stairs. Kevin wonders who Eve was expecting, and she says Karen. Nice save.
Nice save.
Kevin thinks it was a mistake that Karen took her there, and Eve confesses to Karen she hallucinated Kevin being Ian. I like their friendship.
Yeah, I do.
They were always friends, right?
Yeah, I think I think since the beginning of the show, like kind of sort of in the beginning of the show, they were friends. They were friends, but because they didn't really like hate each other, and they didn't really like when I saw in the pilot movie, I think probably the whole thing that happened in the pilot movie where like I don't know if you're familiar with the pilot movie, where Audrey gets shot and they have to drill the bullet out of her head with a power tool.
The brain surgery.
Yep, the brain surgery. I think that's what
Yeah.
kind of started to bond them, like that whole group. Except for Jake. I don't know why they didn't bond with Jake. He was one of them getting killed, so.
Ian tries to call Ariana at his place, and when she doesn't answer, he thinks something is wrong and he runs home.
Mm-hmm.
Lucy can't stop saying Kevin's name or seeing his face everywhere.
Especially
that was so ridiculous.
bottle.
Everything was Kevin. Aside of Kevin with Kevin.
Kevin. And then there was a champagne bottle that I forgot what it said on there, but it had like a vineyard, and then it had Kevin's face on it.
His face on it.
Yeah. And I took a screenshot and shared it on Twitter. So.
Ian finds Ariana passed out at the bottom of the stairs. Eve lets Kevin read the letter she wrote to him, and she says she loves him and only him. And then we get an Ian and Eve montage of all their scenes when they were captive.
Yes.
Lucy is having breakfast with Livy and describing their new home. I thought that was nice that she was still willing to let Livy stay with her.
Mm-hmm.
She also slips in that it's a great place to bring their dates back to, and Livy's like, "Oh, you're dating?" She wonders if this has anything to do with Kevin and Eve renewing their wedding vows. Ian wakes up at the hospital from dreaming about Eve coming to him and saying she remembers everything. Chris asks who this Jane Doe is, and Ian insists her family is not allowed to see her because her brother pushed her down the stairs. Livy starts telling Lucy about the guy she's been seeing. Kevin runs into Jack at the police station. He's there transferring his paperwork for his probation to Port Charles. And he assures Kevin that he will get a job and start a new life so that he can take care of Livy. And invites Max to the wedding vow renewal.
Again, we've been seeing Max
this is
a
one
lot.
of the times that they're like, I thought so too. I was like, oh, well, he must have been recurring, I guess, on GH that he could do both, or they just didn't care.
What was he even do?
But it's a nice way to kind of establish that it's the same town by having people in here.
Yeah,
even though it doesn't look like the same town.
I know that there was like a crossover wedding. I think he and Felicia got married, and then Kevin and Lucy got married, except they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like a double wedding that went through both shows, and it was so great. And then like that was around the time when we found out that when Kevin found out that the car accident that blinded Serena, that's why he dumped her at the altar because of that.
I know that the Tainted Love Nurses Ball is kind of crossovery, except for like the supernatural parts that stayed in Port Charles, like this show. Did they prior to that have crossover nurses balls? Like maybe 3 years.
All of them were. All of the ones in Port Charles up until Tainted Love were crossover. They were crossovers. The way they played out is they would play like the majority of the Port Charles characters on Port Charles, and then some GH characters in Port Charles, and then like I think they would have like no Port Charles characters on GH.
Really?
But maybe they would have.
But they would pretend like they saw everything.
Kevin will come in, but none of those like Port Charles characters would be in. The newly created characters would be on GH, from what I understand. Because that was the time when I would watch both. I think I would. No, actually, it was the summer, so I would watch Port Charles first, and then of course I watched One Life, All My Children, One Life Lived. Then I'll be like, oh hey, what's going on with GH? GH Nurses Ball. So I would like kind of sneak past Guiding Light a little bit and watch it, and then that's how I found out.
Um, Ian tells Ariana that she lost the baby. Eve finds Chris at the hospital and tells him she wants to be put back in rotation. I like the scene, their little banter. Because she was like, you know, without me gone, you had no friends. And like, it was cool. I liked it.
Yeah, especially since they were like when the beginning of the arc when Eve and Ian were kidnapped and they thought that they had died. They were like, you know, everybody's like, get out of my face, Chris. Like go away. Like, go away. Like, we're mourning here.
Right. Kevin asks Mac if he can get the charges dropped against Lucy. He says he'll see what he can do. Kevin thanks him and says not to tell Lucy he was pleading her case. Mac thinks it's funny the day before he renews his wedding vows, he's worried about Lucy. Chris sees Livy picking up a prescription at the hospital. He asks the nurse what she was picking up, and she's like, you know, I can't share that with you.
HIPAA.
That's not good enough for Chris. So he goes on that.
Nah, he just looks around. He's like, I'm a doctor.
You know, pulls out that Word document.
Pulls out that Word document. Let's see, Livy Locke.
And finds out that she was picking up birth control. Livy and Allison discuss Jack being the one. Chris has hired another, I guess, investigator to make sure that Livy hears the recording. See, every time I think something's just like gone, it comes back.
Yep, it comes
like
right
I thought the
back.
DNA thing wasn't going to be a thing, and it was a thing. I was like, oh, that was stupid. You can't even use the recording, and now it's a thing.
Not the recording, and then I have something about that when we get to when Allison actually, you know,
plays it.
Yeah.
Lucy and Serena check out the new apartment, and Serena's really excited about Eve and Kevin renewing their vows. Eve wonders who Ian's patient is, and he says it's Chris's patient, but it's a friend of his that he's taking care of. She tells him that she went back to Harris's compound. Jamal and Jack talk about the bike, and Jamal thinks that Jack should work for a garage working on bikes. So now I'm like, is this a seed that we're going to open a garage? Jack says bosses don't like prison records, and they both hope that they can find something soon. So I'm like, oh, maybe this is how their partnership starts.
Yep.
Lucy tries smudging the apartment with sage. And she tells Serena that they must chant "Old energy be gone."
Old energy be
gone. My old roommate actually did this, and she said you're supposed to chant like "all good things, all good things."
Yeah.
Lucy can't get hers to light. She thinks it might be damp, and Serena's goes out. Meanwhile, Lucy keeps seeing Kevin's space everywhere.
Yep.
Serena thinks that maybe the old energy doesn't want to be gone, or it's unfinished.
Serena is just so adorable.
Yeah. Ian asks Eve if she remembers anything, and she says that she loves Kevin. Livy invites Jack to the vow renewal. So he thinks things are getting serious now. She's inviting him to family things. The man Chris hired asks Allison to discard an envelope from the table, and she takes it and notices the name on it, Ramsey. Eve shows Ian the letter that she wrote to Kevin. She tells him they're renewing their vows, and she invites him. He says he can't. He has to take care of his friend that really needs him right now. She shows him that she has the bracelet that the police said she was wearing the night of the accident. And he says he wanted her to have it. He says she admired it and it was a Christmas gift. She says she can't keep it. Allison opens the envelope and finds the tape, and she takes it to listen to. We don't actually see her listen to it, though. Ariana tells Ian the baby is gone, but the threat to her life is not. Victor brings Lucy a houseplant, and she tells him she wouldn't miss even Kevin's vow renewal for all the tea in China. He doesn't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I like Kevin's father. I like that he calls him Monk and everything like that. It's so cute.
The big thing this episode was Ben, even though he wasn't supposed to be allowed in Ariana's room, still got in. Mm-hmm. And he brought immigration to help him take her out of the country.
Yep. Which I'm surprised they didn't just take her out there and then, but...
Right.
I wonder if... I think because she wasn't...
Lucy shows up at the wedding. Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's just, he wants to kill her anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does. Doesn't matter. So.
Lucy shows up for the wedding, and Mac tells her to behave herself. And then Ian shows up. So Allison shows up at the hotel room that Livy's still staying in. And she plays the tape for her of Jack. Jack ends up showing up, and he doesn't have an explanation because it's all true.
Which now that makes me think maybe he wasn't being sarcastic because, and this was pre-arc, because remember when Chris was on the phone and Jack broke the glass?
Mm-hmm.
I think at that point he knew Chris was. Yeah, he knew Chris was in town. He knew Chris was in town at that point, and that they were related. So maybe.
Yeah, I kind of always got that vibe that he knew Chris was his brother, and that's why he was like kind of. Yeah. But I didn't ever think he was really like. I didn't think thought he was always
Livy.
Interested. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think he was using Livy. I think it just so happened that they fell in love and.
Right. I mean, I guess the argument could be that he initially was using her, but then he fell for her. But I never got that vibe. I always felt like he was really into her. Where am I? Oh. Gabby steps in on Ben trying to deport Ariana, and she gets him out of the room. And Ariana says nobody can protect her now. Gabby was talking about the shelter and how they have really good security. I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't really trust these people's judgment. Ian thought his apartment was so safe, but people just coming in and out.
Right?
Lucy, and she tells him that she can't hear him and that she sees him everywhere and that they're meant to be together and he should be going through with this. And it almost seems like Kevin and Eve love each other, but they know they love somebody else, and they're kind of doing this because they feel like the other person needs it, not because they really want to.
Yeah, that's exactly what
Especially
it is.
Kevin, he feels like Kevin's like trying to like, I guess, give Eve some kind of normalcy because he feels bad about everything she went through.
Yeah.
But it's not because he actually wants to be married to her anymore.
Yeah.
And I wondered how this would resolve if everybody was just honest with each other. Like, okay, cool, we could just be friends. We're just gonna switch partners now.
Yeah, but then what was happening for like most of this was that Eve didn't remember that she was in love with Ian. So, right. So there's that honesty part. You can't have that if Eve is like, oh, I don't know what I was doing.
If
What
it's
was
real
going
or
on
a
in the
dream.
yeah, I don't know if this is a dream or not. And yeah, it's a
But that
mess.
aside, like, how do you feel now? Like, does
Yeah,
that dream make
exactly.
you want that? Like, um, okay, I think my spell check changed something because I don't understand this note. Um, oh, Ian. For some reason, it says Jaina. I'm like, what is this about? Ian and Eve discuss Ariana just being a friend, and she realizes she misunderstood the hug she saw at the apartment when she ran off, and they were talking outside. And she said she just wanted to thank him for everything he did for her. Lucy and Jack commiserate at a bar, and I was like, no, they're not gonna do this, right? But then when they kissed, I was like, oh no.
Oh my gosh. No, yeah.
But then Lucy kind of stopped it. I was like, okay.
Okay.
This is just gonna be like a fleeting kiss. They've just been drinking. But then when she was like, you want to see my new place? I was like, oh man, here we go.
Oh, here we go.
I'm kind of into it, not because I want them to be together, but because of the drama. I just didn't see this coming.
Yeah,
it was not on my bingo
card. Too because of the drama.
I like how when she introduced him to the bartender, she said, "This is my pen pal," like she was in prison. She was like, "Well, you were in a holding cell, like you were not in prison."
Lucy is so ridiculous. I love
Ian
her.
leaves the wedding. Yeah, she's crazy. Ian ends up leaving the wedding ceremony midway. I thought it was kind of cute and cool that everybody was kind of in a circle holding hands around them.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a nice, if it were a genuine wedding, that would have been nice.
Yeah.
He runs into Gabby outside and she tells him about Ariana's brother threatening deportation. And Eve starts having flashes about her time with Ian as the ceremony is going on.
Ooh.
And that's the end of Deception.
Yep.
But the previews showed Lucy and Jack getting hot and heavy on the couch, and I'm like, oh boy, what's gonna happen? Because sometimes those previews are deceiving. Sometimes they make you think something's gonna happen, and then it takes a turn some way. So I'm like, is it? But I really like these 2 weeks.
Me too.
What did you think?
Yeah, I liked them. They went by real quick. They went real quick too, and well, all of them really do. But these ones went by real quick, and they were action packed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I didn't like was the Jamal and Allison resolution, which if you want to talk to me about that on Twitter, where's my thing? There we go, right there.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that on Twitter because I don't want to get to it here, and then it'll be like a 2-hour episode.
Right. Yeah, I can't believe that's it. It was just like a 1 scene thing, and that's it.
Yeah, it was the 1 scene
without
thing,
getting too far into it.
Yep, and then they were like, "Oh, it was me," like. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't you. It should have been a teachable moment, but we're not going to get into that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really like Ariana.
Me neither.
I know I'm supposed to feel bad for her, but I don't like her.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. So yeah, because I'm not feeling the actress. She's a little like. I'm wondering if like she's meant to be like played around the same age as Livy, and that's why she's like that. But she looks a little older, so that's why I can't get into it. Like if it was
Right.
like if it was like Kelly Monaco in the role and she was kicking butt at that role and stuff like that, like she always does, then I would be
Right.
like, okay, I'm invested in it. But she comes off as very whiny, like, oh, they're gonna kill me. Oh my gosh. And like it grades me sometimes, and I'm just like, okay, just power through it because like, you know, she's not gonna be there forever. I know she's not there in Tainted Love. I know for a fact she's not there for Tainted Love. So and then
Oh
Ben,
yeah, I'm like, maybe she just leaves, or maybe her brother's successful and she dies.
yeah. Either option
Or
is
maybe
fine
she's
with
not
me.
what we think she is.
Yeah, either option's fine with me. She either
Maybe
gets
she's not
killed
what we
or
think she is, and she's maybe she's not the victim, and she is working for Harris, and she meant to hit Eve because she brings Eve up a lot, and it's annoying. But I feel like maybe there's a reason for it, like you said.
Maybe she's like,
So,
oh, I'm so maybe it's something stupid like, oh, I'm just so in tune with love and everything like that I know that you two are both belong together. I hope it's something like that. I hope it's just
it's
like
it's obviously you guys. It's fate that you guys should be together. It's something corny.
Because she's from another country, and I remember vaguely that even Ian goes somewhere.
Okay.
But I think that's not until time in a battle. But
okay. Do you know the title of the final chapter of this story arc?
Oh my gosh, they said it in the first one. Deception. I think it was Destiny.
Destiny?
It might be Destiny. I think it's something Deception and Destiny. I forgot what I keep forgetting what the first one is. Desire, Deception, and Destiny. I think that's the three are called.
Okay. And then you think that kind of drops in the next arc,
drops.
or they use it like
that drops in the next book. They don't do that. They don't do that. Yeah, I don't remember them doing anything about that in time in a battle, or definitely not Tainted Love.
No, definitely not, because I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add about the episodes we watched?
Just that Lucy is just, I'm loving Lucy. And I know that it's weird because when I watch it and I was like, oh, let me see what everybody else is thinking in the comments. People are like, oh, Lucy's crazy. She's this, she's that. I'm like, no, I don't agree with that. Maybe it's because like you're supposed to Lucy's supposed to be a comedic character, and you're not supposed to take a lot of what she does seriously. So certain things you take seriously, but other things you don't. So but I do love Lucy in all this. I hope she gets Kevin.
I mean, I do consider her to be like the leading lady. She's the leading lady, I guess, of this show. So dramatic things are happening. It's just the way she reacts to things is a little comedic.
Yep.
Yeah, I like her. I'm excited to see like what happens with her and Jack, because
yes,
I love not knowing anything about this.
That's the part that'll get me. Like if Livy cares enough, if Livy cares, I want to know what her reaction is, because
I'm kind of more interested to see if Ben is successful at killing Ariana than I am about Ariana. Like, and I'm interested to see if Harris comes back, because I don't really buy that he's dead.
Me too.
But all right, so next time you see us, we'll be starting the final chapter of Fate. As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. And until next time, have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.